Hey there, Scarefest. This is Joe Lewis, Bonehead Weekly. And this movie is a little controversial in the fact that a lot of people I see on my social media liked it, and a lot of you didn't like it at all. So there's not a lot of in between on this one. And I finally got to see it. I wanted to see it 2 weeks ago. By the time this probably comes out, I don't even know if it'll be shown in theaters. Hopefully, it'll be on streaming pretty soon. We're going to talk about The Last Voyage of the Demeter. A little history about this. This movie's been in development hell for years. I mean, there's been so many different directors attached to this thing throughout time. There's finally two screenwriters given credit for them. Both of them had written other horror films, but it's directed by Andre Overdahl, and he did the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which I kind of liked, and a movie I loved called The Autopsy of Jane Doe, and another movie I love called Troll Hunter. Everything I've seen of him, I've liked, and this is no exception. Basically, what happens is they made a movie out of one chapter in Dracula, and it's the captain's log describing the Demeter and getting there and what all happened. By the time everybody shows up, they're all dead and gone. So you're finding a couple of things with that. So if you know how Dracula pans out, you know the story of Dracula, you know most of the people on the ship, if all the people on the ship aren't making it out alive, and if they do, well, it's Dracula still wins because we know Dracula still has to happen. So how do you make a movie suspenseful? Well, I wouldn't say this movie's overly suspenseful. I think some people have given it too much credit. I, on the other hand, still loved it and still really enjoyed it. But I see why people got upset about it because it has a lot of, how I should say, influences from other movies that I love. That's the reason. So Dracula's look is based on Count Orlok from Nosferatu. Some of the scenes in it are straight out of Tobe Hooper's Salem's Lot, the way they're shot. And I don't blame him. But a lot of people have been saying that this movie is heavily influenced by Hammer. Now, when you talk about Hammer films, these are the Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee films, influence to me the pacing of this movie. But actually, the movie I think that it steals a lot from, just design wise and whatnot, was a 1978-79 version of Dracula, directed by John Badham. That it starring Frank Langella as Dracula. That movie actually I think influences more. I'd love to interview the director about this and see if I'm right. He basically says in his interview that the movie's alien on a ship, and I can't argue with that. But it has a lot of throwbacks. It's very bloody. Bad things happen to people that wouldn't normally happen in mainstream films. I love the way Dracula looks. I love the atmosphere of it. It has some fantastic performances across the board. It's actually not poorly written, only a couple of groaners. Liam Cunningham is a fantastic character actor. He was in Game of Thrones. He plays the Onion Knight. He's in this as well. He plays the captain. So there's very little for me to actually throw rocks about, throw stones. I really enjoyed the movie. I think you should check it out as well. But I understand that most of you don't even know what the hell I'm talking about the Frank Langella 79 John Badham version of Dracula. Because I think this filmmakers have seen that a couple of times and they took a lot away from it. I think they did. I think they saw that in Tobe Hooper's Salem's Lot, the TV version from the late 70s. But that's just my opinion, okay? That's just my opinion. So should you see the Last Voyage of the Demeter? Yes. Should it have probably been called Dracula and the Last Voyage of the Demeter like it is in Europe and other places? Probably done a little bit better. I don't think a lot of people, in fact, when the guy took my ticket, he goes, Demeter, right down there, dude, right down there. They don't read books. So this has been Joe Lewis, a Bonehead Weekly, telling you, go out and watch The Last Voyage of the Demeter or catch it on streaming if you miss it.